dunya or akhirah? Have you thought about the effects of the dunya on your Eman? Are you sinking into the love of the dunya? How does Islam offer you a way out? We will be with the answers in just a minute.
There is no man more dear to me throughout the whole of history than the one who was sent as a guide, leading people from darkness to light. His message was simple and clear, that there is one God whom we must all fear, inviting people towards Allah. His name is Muhammad Mustafa. His name is Muhammad Mustafa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome viewers to another episode of the Ark of Noah. Now this is part of our ongoing series. We were discussing the blessing of deen, the blessing of religion, and the various threats that we are faced with in this time of fitna, a time of difficulties for the Muslims. Now in the last two episodes we've been focusing on these threats, and we've mentioned description of shaitan and a number of different ways in combating his influence on us. We've also discussed the inner desires that we all are born with and or are faced with such a challenge on a daily basis. Now with me in the studio again, of course, is Sheikh Moutasem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, we've moved from shaitan and we've moved on to the nafs, the inner desires that we all have. Now we want to move forward and we want to look at the influence of the dunya. Now what exactly do we mean by the Arabic word dunya here? Because it can mean a number of different things.
Yes, the Arabic word of dunya comes from ad-dunu. Ad-dunu means something is low. When you describe something as low, as base. And that's exactly where the meaning of the root of the word. So dunya means basically it's the lowest. It's a superlative in English. It's just like the lowest, the basest. That's one of the meanings of the word dunya, and it could also mean as well the dunya that is the closest in tangible terms. It is the world in which we live. This is why it's the closest, physically speaking, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the closest to our hearts. So these are two main meanings in the word dunya.
So that's from a linguistic point of view.
Yes.
Now, in this context, we're using it to refer to what exactly?
Basically, in the Quran and the Sunnah and the Arabic language in general, dunya refers to this life in which we live today.
The life of the world.
The life of the world, yes.
Yeah. What importance does that have in our conversation today?
I think basically it's just about, if we take the linguistic meanings, and they could be very revealing, because when they talk about, they tell us so much about the reality of this life, that it is the basest, it's the lowest. So let not your concern and your goal-setting process, let it not be more about this life or about this dunya. Let it be, because there's something higher than that. This is what you should aspire. And the other meaning is that although it's the closest to you when we talk about physically speaking, but it's not really what you are created for.
Okay, so a very important thing there. We've got, talking about the main goal in life here, really, aren't we? We're saying that, the dunya is something low, and of course the akhirah is something, the highest realization of human goals,
yes.
Isn't it?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ, that the next life, the akhirah, is the real life. That's real life. This is not a real life. It's obviously real, but it doesn't mean that it's insignificant compared to the akhirah.
Because it's temporary, isn't it? It's back to that time horizon that you mentioned.
Yes, obviously. It's very insignificant compared to the akhirah.
Now, Sheikh, when we were discussing nafs, we were talking, trying to describe it and trying to define it, and we looked at its relationship with shaitan. Now, with the dunya, then with the life of the world, we are born with a natural love of the life of the world. I mean, And Allah, I think, describes it in the Quran in different ways in terms of your family and your wealth and various other things. Can you just give us a little bit more of exactly the relationship between the dunya and the self, and perhaps how that really sort of manifests itself, and are there any limits to it as Muslims we should be aware of?
Yes, something we have to bear in mind as we discuss these issues, that Allah doesn't give us anything that is originally harmful. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us is meant to help us achieve the goal of our lives and make it to paradise. But it is the way we use it. This is what
that's an interesting thing, because often in amongst the Muslims we talk about the dunya, the life of the world, in a very negative way. So it sounds like there's some positive in there as well. It's not just a completely negative idea.
Yes, you can see in many of the Islamic discourse that is prevalent today that there's a dichotomy between this dunya and the akhirah. From one aspect or from one angle, this is true. But
so are you saying conflict between the two?
There is the way it's been displayed, the way it's been depicted is that as if there is a total kind of conflict. You either have a dunya or you either have an akhirah, but it's not always this, it doesn't have to be that way all the time. It's basically, as I said, the dunya has been given to us to a certain limit to help us make it to the akhirah. And what we find in the Quran and the Sunnah that has been, we have been called away from, or something we have been called to abstain from, which is to make this dunya our ultimate goal, or to hold on to this dunya. The dunya is basically the means to the akhirah. Now, if you don't have the means, how can you make it to the akhirah? This is the general outlook on the relationship between dunya and akhirah. Dunya is supposed to be seen as the means that leads us to the akhirah.
So you have to use the Islamic teachings in the dunya and all that it is to achieve in the akhirah.
That's it. Money could be a curse, could be a blessing. It depends on how you use it. The sexual desire, the desire for food, all the human desires that we have been given, all of these are meant to help us make it to the akhirah. You could be actually answering these needs and satisfying these needs in the right way and gaining more reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Again, by boarding that Ark of Noah, isn't it? That Ark of Noah, by boarding that, we're able to complete.
Obviously, it gives you the direction. Once you get the right direction, everything just works for you. Even your desires will work for you. So it's just about getting the right methodology, the right understanding, the right vision and perception of this world, then everything will just work for you.
Okay. So what are the limits as Muslims we should be aware of in the love of dunya?
Yes, love of dunya, if we place dunya in its right place, in our perception of the world, in our methodology, in our way of life, it will work for us. And this love for some elements of the dunya will help us get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's take, for example, the natural love for parents. We as human beings are naturally inclined to love our parents. Any human being, any sane human beings with their sound mind love their parents. Now, if we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah is our ultimate goal, then love of our parents should actually stem from our love for Allah and should add to it in the final tally. And the way to do this is basically we have to see our lives, the focus of our lives is Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us our parents as a gift from Himself. The mercy they have, the affection, the love, the care, the attention. All of this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing to do is to appreciate this gift and then be thankful. How can we be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Always use that gift for obedience to Allah, to get closer to Allah. First of all, we have to be thankful to our parents. And by doing this, we are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are obedient because Allah commanded us to be like that.
So I suppose the danger here comes when one of these pieces of the dunya becomes bigger or more prevalent in the life of a Muslim.
That's the secret. You've hit the answer. That's it. Because each of these desires and the love that we have for certain things in this world are meant to help us get closer to Allah. Once it's blown out of proportion, once it's given more than it really deserves, it will start to eat up your love for Allah. So it will expand at the expense of destroying your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is where you lose the balance.
So Sheikh, can you just describe a little bit more and go a little bit further in describing how the love of dunya may impact the life of a believer, and perhaps, well, I think we'll address that in the next part, but just how does it impact the life of the believer?
Okay, we said previously that belief or worship is about direction. Loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's about our direction. It means if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He truly deserves, then basically that's your direction in life. This is where you're heading to. And naturally, we are inclined as human beings that once you love something so much, and it becomes your ultimate goal, it becomes your main purpose in life, naturally your whole resources, your whole faculties are directed to that direction. So they simply flow into one direction. And this is what we can call a unity of the theme of life.
Unity of purpose, perhaps.
Unity of purpose, thank you very much. This is what we are created with. That's our system. And the moment your attention starts to be directed to something from the dunya, for example, love for your children, which is actually praiseworthy in Islam. As a Muslim, it's your obligation to love your children, look after them, and give them their rights.
But it comes with a limit, doesn't it?
That's it. Once you exceed the limits with that, it becomes a curse. Why? Because it starts to grow at the expense of your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you start to take parts of that. So instead of you're focusing on getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and looking after your children, giving them their due rights, you start to focus more on your children, and then you will start to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will lose direction. So once you are stuck with giving so much love to something or some part of this dunya, which is originally legitimate, but once you give it more than it really deserves, you will lose your direction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you start to fall in sin. This is why Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ مِنْ أَوْلَادِكُمْ Allah says about children, and sometimes says about your wives, your spouses, and He says about your wealth. It could be an enemy to you. How could your spouse, your child be an enemy to you?
It's amazing.
When you give it love more than it deserves, and it destroys your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's it. So we should really be aware, and again, this idea of doing your own account and monitoring your own self about where is my love.
It's a matter of balance. It's a matter of balance. You love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your heart will grow big enough to encompass love for your parents, love for your spouse, love for your children, love for the rest of humanity. Your heart will grow bigger. And this is why the heart is created for Allah. But once your heart is attached to some part of this world, it will grow in proportion.
Which isn't going to last anyway.
Definitely. Your heart will be small, will not be able to encompass that love for Allah and love for other things. So this love, love that is blown out of proportion for anything in this world will cause you to transgress other boundaries or the limits in different areas. So you love your children to the extent that they might lead you to oppress other people in order to make sure that they get their rights.
Nonetheless, other people, but even the own self. In effect, you become a dhalim or an oppressor of your own self, because your heart isn't in the right place.
Definitely, that's another aspect of the injustice you will be doing to yourself. And even, when some people love themselves more than they should, what happens? They don't mind oppressing other people to get their own rights.
We'll be right back after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Reviewing the second rule of al-mim as-sakinah, that is the letter mim. So if the first mim is non-vowel or sakinah followed by a voweled mim, so I will merge the first in the letter and I will pronounce them as one. وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ. And we spoke abundantly on the virtues of seeking refuge with Allah from the outcast Satan, especially for the first reciter. He's got to recite it out loud.
وَالسَّمَاءِ ذات البروج
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
فإذا جاءت الصاخة.
وإذا النفوس زوجت
Make sure it's Dhamma. وإذا النفوس. Thank you for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. Before the break we were discussing the idea of the dunya in Islam, the idea of the life of the world. And the Shaykh was giving us some great insights into exactly the nature of the dunya. Now Shaykh, a lot of us are, we live in this materialistic world. I mean, both the Eastern scholars and the Western scholars are pretty much in agreement that we do live in a materialistic world, and that this idea of capitalism, this system is promoting and encouraging the idea of materialism, and to the extent that we can seem to be very happy with a very small thing. Like, I know, just people might call me old-fashioned, but people are absolutely transfixed by mobile phones. They're fascinated. They spend their life playing them, and they don't know where they'd be without the mobile phone. What's the remedy?
The issue of the materialistic world is dealt with very beautifully in Islam, because we live in a material world. Islam never neglected that aspect of our lives. We still live in this world, and we have to deal with it. But we should live in it, but we shouldn't live for it. That's the difference. In Islam, we have, as human beings, we are created in a fashion that we have different aspects. We have a material side, a physical side to our being, to our existence, and Islam answers to that. Islam provides what we need in that sense. We also have a spiritual side to ourselves. We have an intellectual aspect of our lives. Islam answers to all of these. So it's just a matter of striking a balance, but not being drawn into only one aspect and neglecting the others.
And as we said, the balance comes in when the son of Adam places the right things in the right place, and that of that whole range of desires, at the head of it there is the idea of the oneness of Allah, and understanding that and having it at the head. How powerful is that in changing these desires, these base desires?
Just put in simple terms, we are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ. To Allah belong the creation, and to Him belongs the legislation. We are created in a format that if we hold on to the divine guidance, simply everything will just fall in place.
Subhanallah.
It's a system made for us. It's been prescribed for us, for our own happiness, for our own welfare, and for our own ultimate happiness even. So we just hold on to it and things will fall in place. You don't have to worry about the details. So this is why Tawheed is very central in Islam. Once our hearts are created for Allah, once they are attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll start to look at everything in a very practical manner. We'll see how this dunya has been designed to help us make it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in order to get the fruits of this dunya, we have to give it its due worth. We have to give it its rights. So we don't overestimate the dunya and we don't underestimate it. It's just a balance.
So Shaykh, how would you advise some of perhaps the viewers, or perhaps we know people who are very much fascinated by little things and little small things as perhaps other people might see them. How would you advise them to get out of that situation? What advice can you give them? Their love of the dunya, how can they work themselves out? What can they do?
It is a personal struggle, and it's a constant struggle. It's an ongoing struggle from birth to death, definitely. But some things can help is that always think about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored human beings. Allah has honored mankind. Allah put the whole world at our service. Look around us in the world. Everything has been designed to help us fulfill a purpose. So purpose is very central. Everything has been created for a purpose. We are created for a purpose. The purpose of everything around us is to help us fulfill our purpose. You have been honored. So your purpose could not be, reduced to a small device or even to the whole of this dunya. It's much greater than that. We have been equipped with aspirations. This wonderful system that has been placed inside us to aspire high things. That's our nature. So don't settle for something that is small. Always try to see what is beyond the physical world. So don't be just don't be stuck. Don't reduce your life to something that is very small. Because even a mobile phone,
it's very narrow, isn't it? It's very narrow, it seems.
It's a mobile phone. You're happy about it. A few months later, it's just insignificant. You throw it away. So be consistent in your approach to your life. Have an ultimate goal that never withers over time. It's always there. It's always shining. Don't let the temporary and contemporary things be your ultimate goal, because they die.
So now we were mentioning, that we live in the materialistic world, and perhaps in my opinion, that I think it's reached such a level now that and the full expression of it is there before us, and I think one of the ways that it expresses itself is through this idea of celebrity culture. The whole, the beauty, the zinatul, and the beauty of the dunya, is so decadent, and it's so attractive, and it seems to capture people so much. What do you really think that? What are celebrities, and what's their reality, and how would you relate that to Islamic teachings?
It's when we look at this celebrity world, there are so many things to be said about this, but just to explain why people are so much fascinated by celebrities.
Because it's another one of those small, well, to me and many, one of those small little things that you can get fascinated by, and it's just a small thing really. Mobile phone, celebrity, car, this sort of thing. Yes,
these are aspects of our materialistic world, and it just exploits the fact that human brain works by analogy. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strikes many examples, many stories in the Quran, because we human beings, as we listen to a story, we always see ourselves right there. We're comparing.
So part of the attractiveness is that when I look at these great celebrities, I see myself in this.
Definitely, you see they're wealthy, they're well off, they're happy, they lead a very interesting life.
They seem to be happy.
That's it, seemingly that's the case, but in reality it doesn't have to be like that, and most of the time it's not.
What is the reality of these people?
Well, I think there's an industry behind that. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but what I see there's an industry, a celebrity industry, and because of the impact on the youth, people are always searching for a role model. This is why it's very instrumental in our lives to have a role model. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never neglected that. This is why He gave us the Prophet ﷺ as our role model. Because we human beings, we tend to learn by mimicking and following examples. And psychologically this is very understood. So there is an industry to make celebrities and lead the people in a certain way. And you could lecture for 1,000 hours and bombard people with information, with theories, with a way of life, with a methodology, but you can just show them a celebrity that summarizes all their aspirations or seems to possess what they aspire to, and that's more powerful than what
I guess it touches to those inner desires, beauty, money, wealth, power. These inner desires are presented, and the human is swallowing these and taking the knowledge from it and translating that then into their own lives, aren't they?
Yes, the visual image is very powerful, and this is what they depend on. So you see a celebrity, you think they look happy, they look rich and wealthy, they're leading a wonderful life, you think this is what I want. So if I want to get there where they got to, I have to do the same.
And the ark in this is the Prophet ﷺ and his way.
That's it. This is why we said right at the beginning of the show that you will find many arks, many ships around. All of them claim to be the Ark of Noah. But this is why this show is designed to equip us with the knowledge, to be able to tell which ark is Noah's.
And you know, the celebrity culture is presenting these different arcs, isn't it? And they're all calling, you know, follow me,
Yes.
do what I do. And I even find this in the ummah in general. You can see their behaviour, and you know that he's behaving like that because of a film he's seen. It's that bad.
Yeah, subhanAllah. And if you just try to look at the celebrities that are around today, most of them are involved in what? Adultery, drugs, alcohol. All of them are decadent morality. And you can see that there is something that is some kind of a wave life that has been pushed onto the people, and people are swallowing that without realizing what's happening.
That's it. And the alternative, well, some of them don't find an alternative. I mean, and even some of the Muslims, you know, they're not seeing Islam as the realistic solution.
Yeah.
And the example of the Prophet sallallahu
And here where the
alaihi wasallam.
Muslims have fallen short, because we're not really giving our younger generation a real example. Muslims, real Muslim heroes who can really make a difference, they don't see them.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to have to bring this episode to the close. The example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ark in this time of difficulties and trials. We look forward to seeing you again on the show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
There is no man more dear to me throughout the whole of history than the one who was sent as a guide, leading people from darkness to light. His message was simple and clear, that there is one God whom we must all fear, inviting people towards Allah. His name is Muhammad Mustafa.